Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for sticking around. I just, like, everything isn't completely open on my YouTube. Like, you guys don't know every single thing about me, but I just felt like this was definitely something that I needed to share. I needed to get off my chest, and I wanted to be open to you guys about it. If you have any questions that aren't really super personal to me and what I've been through, but if you just want to reach out, I'm more than happy to answer some questions or to just talk if you guys need it. And yeah, that's it. So to start, I have been in the military for about 5 months now, going on 6 months. I decided to go with the Navy, and I was in boot camp for 3 months, and my A school was going to be about 3.5 months. And I don't know, I took a lot of pride in wanting to join the military and wanting to join the Navy and follow behind my husband's footsteps and follow behind my aunt's footsteps and so many other people in my family who have been a military member. But I do feel like, this uniform, like, let me down in a way. I do feel like there should have been more done. I shouldn't have, for one, had to go through so many things that I did. I shouldn't have had to experience so many things. And, it's when you really go through something, I guess, negative that you will get a deeper meaning of how things are done or how things will be done, or just so many different things that I guess I wasn't expecting that really let me down and kind of changed my view on what I signed up for. I'm not going to let that deter me, and I'm going to try and do the opposite and like try to empower other people and try to put the correct information out there and do good. So upon the first week of getting to A school, everybody pretty much goes through, a normal in-doc. While going through that in-doc, I started hearing things that were inappropriate, certain things that guys were speaking about. The instructors and my NMTIs weren't correcting them. They were feeding into it or even adding to the inappropriate jokes and stuff like that. And that's where I kind of started to realize, like, oh, okay. I realized that there were not that many females as well. In our dorm building, there was only one floor for females, and because it was in a co-located base, the Navy shared it with the Air Force and the Army, and because there wasn't as many Navy personnel, most of the females got their own barracks room. Now, at first glance, that seems, really awesome, like you have your own room and everything, but then when you're put into, a school setting, or you're put into marching, you're put into formations and stuff like that, you're one female surrounded by all these other males, and that was the issue that I was starting to really see. So after a few days passed and I'm starting to see these behaviors, then I went on to a course called Life Skills that most people have to take upon arriving to A school. In that class, there was an issue with our instructor, who was a chief, and he was making derogatory comments about race, about politics, about feminism. I don't think I want to repeat any of the things that he said, but they were just clearly across the line, things that he shouldn't have been saying, things that were solely his opinion, not factual, things that had nothing to do with the class, and I just wasn't okay with it. Me being previously a teacher, I would have never said any of those things, knowing what's expected, having gone to, school and having gone to, obtain my bachelor's. I knew what was expected. This is the military, but the things that were happening just weren't okay. So I decided not to talk to anybody about it, but I decided to get another professional's opinion by talking to Equal Opportunity of the Air Force. And like I told you guys, this base was an Air Force base. So when I outreached to Equal Opportunity, that was the first personnel that I talked to. They confirmed that these things weren't okay. They said that they could talk to the chain of command, and I said no, because I felt like if somebody was going to speak on my behalf, it was just going to get back that it was me, and then it would make me look worse. So I decided to get in contact with my Navy Equal Opportunity, and I did some research, and it pretty much said that if I was going to make a claim against a superior or one of my supervisors, that I needed to make a written statement to the OIC, and then it will be investigated and then done that way. That's not how the situation turned out. I did type up about 1,000-word essay explaining verbatim the things that he said, explaining verbatim why I was uncomfortable. I also talked about the sexual harassment that I was going through with that, and I wanted to make a formal complaint. It turned out that it was not going to be a formal complaint. I talked to the OIC's assistant, and an OIC is the officer in charge, or officer of the command that you're at, and pretty much his assistant said that that I should have given him a chance to correct the behavior, to fix the things that were going on, and then if they happened again, then that would just be more of an issue, and then I could follow through with the formal complaint. I thought that it would have been better to just do a formal complaint, but pretty much I had a superior to me in the schoolhouse telling me this is the way that I should go about it, this is what should be done, and it was kind of stern in what he was saying, so I just went with it, and that's what I did. They had a talk with all of us about sexual harassment and saying things to saying things to each other and saying things around each other, and what that could be, what that could mean, and the repercussions of it. The same day that we had that talk, I was sexually harassed again. We were marching, and they have certain cadences where they can insert their own little jargon into it. So one of the guys did, and I turned around, I rolled my eyes at him, and then he said something else derogatory to me. I later went to go tell the equal opportunity specialist again, and they do have 100% confidentiality, and they pretty much said, well, did you tell anybody else? So I kind of felt at a standstill, like, okay, I've already reported something, I'm already telling you I'm uncomfortable, I'm already telling you I don't feel safe here, I'm already experiencing all these things, and you guys, at this time I had already been sexually assaulted, and I did not know who to talk to. I didn't know what to do, how to do it, or anything else. So I'm only just reporting these smaller things because I didn't know who to report the sexual assault to. And these things are still continuing on. So pretty much I went to go tell the NMTIs. They kind of seemed like they could care less, but they did take down the information and said that they are going to have to pass it on because of the nature of what I expressed to them. About a week later, I was still in contact with the equal opportunity specialist. They were little to pretty much no help, and they really weren't understanding what I was going through and how the environment was not conducive to me learning, how this instructor is saying and doing these things and nothing is being done, how these males are here touching and saying these things and nothing is being done, yet I'm here, I have to experience it, and I just wasn't getting anywhere. And on my family side, obviously everybody's so excited that I graduated boot camp. I want to be excited. I had so many videos planned for you guys, and I did share some of them, but it was just me pretty much just suppressing everything else that I had really inside. So I already made the claim against that instructor. It was a grievance. I had already informed them about the sexual harassment, and now I was trying to figure out how I was going to report the sexual assault, but whether I was going to do that informally or not formally. And pretty much when it comes to SAPR, it's restricted and unrestricted. I decided that I wanted to do a restricted report because I knew I still had 3 months there at that school, and I didn't really want to just get that guy in trouble and then he come and retaliate against me because he was in my class, and we ate in the same we ate at the same galleys because everybody does. We live in the same dormitory because it was just one dormitory. We marched together. We were in the same class. There was no escaping any of these guys. Even the people who weren't in my class who sexually harassed me, I still saw them every single day. I still was around them every single day, and there was just no getting away from it. It's just so bad. And so because I reported it to Equal Opportunity, and because I reported it to my NMTIs, and they don't have confidentiality, they reported it to the investigation team. Because it was an Air Force base, they were called OSI. something like that. And pretty much I was taken there and I was questioned, and they just pretty much asked me how things happened, how things transpired. And that was the first time that I felt like I was able that I was being heard, that you know, I wasn't being looked at like I was crazy. The things that I was going through were we're not okay, and that something should have been done. And I even went so far to, you know, explain to them that I did try and get help for myself, that, you know, at this point I didn't want to be in the military. This is not what I signed up for, and I have to get out of here. Like I can't do it. And while that was all happening, I was trying to also get in with a therapist, and the two equal opportunity representatives said that they were going to work on it. They set up an appointment for me. I missed about an hour to 2 hours of class going to this appointment that was actually non-existent. There was no appointment there. And I say that there was no appointment there, not as in my opinion, but because there were mental health professionals and other professionals who were able to go bypass the HIPAA and see whether I had an appointment or not, and my name was nowhere in the system. So I wasted time on that. And then once I did actually get an appointment with a therapist, which was thanks to the special agent at OSI, the investigation team. He got me an appointment the next day. I missed another 2 hours of class. And then because that was just a small appointment, pretty much I still didn't do the NDOC, and that NDOC was going to be another 2 hours. So that's going on 6 hours. And then this is not taken away from any other questioning or any other things that they may need from me throughout the weeks or whatever. So ultimately, they ended up washing me out of class. That was like really hard. It's just like a really hard day for me, a really hard thing to really just go through, because OSI was investigating. So now the people are starting to figure out that it's me who made the reports. Now the people are starting to get questioned. Now I'm getting looks. Now people don't want to talk to me. Now just feeling more ostracized, and just, you know, things are just getting worse for me personally. And there was really nothing that I can do about it. Things really just went so far to where I had a therapist, I had a lawyer, I had a victim's advocate. I was talking to the chaplain. I just needed a lot of support and a lot of help, and my family really knew nothing. I told my grandma after several weeks. Christian knew from, you know, the jump, because I was having panic attacks and I started getting anxiety. I wasn't sleeping, I wasn't eating, and that's why I really needed to go talk to a therapist, because, you know, the chaplain, I needed religious help and I needed that religious guidance, but there was just more going on other than that. And I just really want anybody to know that if they're going through that too, like, those services are out there for you. You can go seek a therapist. There's nothing wrong with that. I've never needed a therapist. I've never had anxiety. I've never not been able to sleep. I like hit the bed now and I'm just like out like a light. But that's just not how it was. I would lock myself in my room. I wasn't going outside because I didn't want to have to face the guys again. I didn't want to have to face the other people asking questions. Once I got washed out of my class, like, yes, I had enough time to go to my appointments, but then on the other hand, like, I now have a whole bunch of people asking me a bunch of questions. My instructors are trying to figure out why I'm leaving class. They're like, you know, calling me out while I'm in class saying like, oh, well, Via Grand, do you have any more appointments today? Or, you know, things along that line, which just makes me feel worse. Like, you know, I'm trying to go to these appointments to get help, and you're just like making them worse, you know, indirectly, and they didn't know. My instructor also at the time was a bit shady and a bit petty, and what he would do is he would tell me, you know, ostracize me in class, you know, about my appointments, but he would tell me, you know, behind closed doors, like, you know, everything's fine, you know, go do what you need to do and get to your appointments. My job is to fill you in and, you know, help you get caught up on the material, because you cannot miss more than 8 hours of school time, or else you're going to be washed back and you're going to have to be put back in training, and then you'll have to start over or start back from where you left off if, you know, if you missed more than 8 hours, if you failed your test, you know, just for various reasons. And that was one of my biggest fears, because if, you know, I'm already going through so much, already being there, I didn't want to have to spend more time there. So like I was telling you guys, I had to go to the appointment for the NDOC for mental health, because I had only just seen a therapist on just like that one-time basis, but I still needed to do the NDOC. I talked to my instructor, I talked to the LCPO, and they said that they were going to work with me. They were even going to do special individualized assistance for me for any time that I missed, and that they would continue to work with me until things became a problem. So I always made sure that communication was clear and everything until that day. It was a complete shock that I got washed out of my classes. I've never failed a test, not even failed this test to retake a test, like none of that. And that was the one thing that kept me driving, moving forward was, you can't fail a test because you can't get washed back because you can't stay here any longer. And that's exactly what happened. I went to the meeting and I came back and they washed me out. And when I asked them, why didn't they tell me that before I left the schoolhouse to go to that course, to go to that appointment or anything like that, they said, oh, well, it didn't become a problem until after you left. And that was just a really huge smack in the face. And it was like I had to choose between my mental health or my education, my mental health, or, it was just like this teeter-totter thing. And I just felt more like a nuisance to them and more like a hassle to them versus actually trying to get myself the help and continue on with my career. There were so many hurtful things that were said to me by other staff members. I felt like I was treated really well by the Air Force, and I feel like there needs to be change. There needs to be something to where this doesn't happen to somebody else. I had to go through when I wanted to make that claim against the instructor, I had to go to another instructor that was of the same pay grade as them, and they were co-workers. They worked together. They knew the person, and that's why they didn't want me to make a formal claim. That's why they didn't want me to, do the most and do everything that I wanted to do. That's why everything kind of just fell by the wayside. I think I reported over seven different things to multiple people. It took me a long time to get victims legal counsel. It took me a while to get a victims advocate. I had to go talk to SAPR, had to go see a chaplain. The process, it is a process, but it was worth it because now I'm home and now I'm trying to recoup, and I'm trying to be okay with everything, and I'm just trying to do better for myself. And yeah. So because everything was getting investigated by OSI, and I had and now that I also have a mental health professional helping me out, she's a therapist, and she was also from the Air Force. She was working with me on different coping mechanisms and things like that, and she said that it was very surprising to her that she had gotten the call from that special agent talking about that, because she had never had that happen. She had never had, an agent come to her saying, like, I really think that you should see this person. I think that they can really, use your help and use your guidance and everything. And, when she expressed that to me, it made me feel like he really understood me, and he really got where I was coming from. And he understood that, like, this wasn't just just a sexual assault. This was so much more than that. And she, after our second session, she concluded that pretty much she was going to continue to help me, and she was going to do everything that she could to help me, but that I was not going to get better until I was out of that base, and until I was out of that environment, that things were just too toxic. I was just still seeing the same people. I was still around the same things. I was really becoming a nuisance to the petty officers and stuff like that. They started whispering around me. They didn't want to say certain things around me. The kids even, well, not the kids, but some of the students got wind of certain things because if it was their friend who got in trouble, their friend obviously told them, and they're like, oh, don't say this around Viagram because she's going to go and report you or something like that. When it came to my last sexual harassment case that is also still open, I think they closed it, but I haven't gotten word of what's going on yet. That one was handled very, very poorly, and I think that'll be the last thing that I talk about. But pretty much what they did is you have a student in a specific rate, and then you have instructors for that rate who teach them. Well, I made a claim against this student in that rate, and they had his instructor go and investigate him. Now, on the day after he was investigated, he was with that instructor helping him hang TVs and doing some, handiwork around the room for him, because he had already graduated and he was waiting to fly out. That didn't make any sense to me. I didn't understand why you would choose somebody who likes that student of likeness that he taught, that he instructed, for you to go and investigate him. Yes, you take an oath. Yes, you say, okay, I'm going to raise my right hand and swear not to lie and everything else, but that just doesn't make any sense to me. There's a bias there. There is, cahoots there, whether you want to believe it or not. And I just think things like that shouldn't go on. For that case, that shouldn't have happened. When I had to report the sexual assault, thankfully I went to SAPR and I talked to an Airforce liaison, and they were able to help me. So there was no bias there, and that was really awesome. The Air Force, for the base that I was at, their equal opportunity representatives also were not in their schoolhouse, and that was really awesome because I went to talk to them about what was going on with me as well. But the conflict that I kept having was I have to tell the Navy. They can call and tell them what I'm saying and everything like that, and some of them couldn't because they had confidentiality, but I couldn't get literal help unless I went and said it, unless I went to do it with my branch. Now, like I was saying, for my equal opportunity, they were chiefs and they were instructors inside of the building. I'm telling them about their coworkers. I'm telling them about their students. They don't want to hear that. They didn't want to hear it. And it pretty much just left me in this predicament and situation that I'm in now. So I'm pretty much home, and I'm going to be home for a little while, and then I'm going to go back to training, and hopefully it's for at a different A school, and it's much better. But yeah, I just think that if you are in a situation like I am, or like I was, that you should definitely seek out and seek help. If you don't feel comfortable talking to your NMTIs, you don't feel comfortable talking to, your equal opportunity representatives, go talk to your SAPR, go reach out. Some stuff just is worth it. I felt horrible getting washed out, but then I had the time to talk to my lawyer. I had the time to go see my therapist. I had the time to go see a chaplain and to get religious guidance. Like, I had the time to do the things that I needed to do, which helped me get out of that situation, and what helped me really be able to have some peace of mind. And things aren't perfect now. The cases are still open as of right now, and I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if I am going to have to go back there, but I just know that I'm better than where I was a week ago.